last night, or yesterday, I went to a concert and got there at 3 and went to the show, got out about 11:30, went to the motel, went to sleep, then have to get up at 5 and then drive back. It's a 2.5 hour drive. And got back and I started working on the door. Again, I had started sanding it a couple of days ago, and I was going to paint the inside as well as the outside. And I think I had mentioned that I was going to, sand it, take off all the residue from the adhesive, and then paint it. So that's what I did, and I ended up painting or doing all the body work on the underside. So that's ready to go. But I sanded all this, did the first coat, actually 2 coats of the base already. And this is the old paint. It's not the new stuff that I got, so I still don't know whether that other stuff is going to match this. But what I wanted to do was paint this and clear coat it, and then kind of spray a little bit on a test panel or something, and then see how good it matches to this. So this is ready to be clear coated, and I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to let it sit for a couple of days and let it completely harden before I flip it over. I'm going to have to primer it with a high build primer and then sand it smooth, because I can see, like, I don't know if you can see right there, there's like a little ridge where the paint, where I sanded, and then it kind of gone through the layers. So I don't want that to be on the outside. The inside, it doesn't matter to me. But the outside, I want it to be really smooth, and I don't want it to look like this. So what I got to do is give it a couple of coats of a high build primer, and then sand it really flat, really smooth, and then paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and give it the first coat of clear, and I'll probably give it about 2 coats of clear. Alright, so this has been outside for I don't know, about 3-4 hours now, after I clear coated it, and I'm showing you that spot again that's right there, and it actually laid out pretty flat, so it doesn't look too bad. And I went ahead and did the upper area of the door frame and clear coated it on both sides. That way all I have left is the underside, or the outside, which it would actually be, of the door. So what I would do next is flip it over. Like I said, I'm going to let it harden completely for for the next couple of, or next day. Just leave it like this, let it sit, and then I'm going to mask off this whole edge under here where I already painted, and as well as all these areas right here. That way I don't get any overspray on them. And then flip it over after it's completely dried, and then finish doing the body work. Well, not the body work, because I've already done all the body work, but finish doing all the prepping for the paint, and that should be done hopefully next week. Today is Saturday, so I'm going to leave it through Sunday, and then Monday, hopefully when I come back in, I'll be able to spray the outside of the door, and then I can start on the other side. And let me grab that hinge. This is the hinge that I sprayed with that paint before, and the one that didn't match. And it's not a noticeable difference, probably on camera. I mean, in person though, it's just a little bit lighter than this one. So I think after we did the work on it, this will match a lot better. Alright, so I came home after work today and finished the roof. I think, when was it? let's see, today is Thursday night. Okay, Thursday night after work I came here and I had finished sanding the roof, and I had thought I was done with it, but I had ended up spraying the color coat with the new stuff that I had got, and found that it was not the same color. So I stopped, and in one section, like right here somewhere, I don't know, there was like 3 or 4 cracks in the paint that had shown through the undercoat. So I let it dry, and then I sanded it, filled in all the cracks, and now I did 2 base coats and 3 clear coats, and so it came out really nice. I might still need to polish it, but we'll see after it dries. After taking off the tape, though, I found right here that I didn't prepare it good enough, and it peeled off some of the paint that was on there, so I'm going to have to go back when I paint some of the other places and just kind of scuff this up, paint it, and re-clear it. I just, making sure all this stuff comes out good. So all that is left, as far as painting goes, is this quarter panel, and of course inside this area as well. I got to repaint, or actually repaint this whole area along here. And one thing that I just realized, and it's a good thing I haven't painted this yet, I have to fill in this hole. Because this, now that it's a right-hand drive vehicle, this has to be on the other side. But I'm not going to even have an antenna, so I'm just going to fill in the hole and then smooth it out and repaint all this. And what I'll do is I'll just mask off the roof area that I already just painted, sand this down, and repaint this side. I'll just have to mask off the areas that I've already painted. That way they don't get overspray and stuff like that. I think there's a very minimal amount of body work that I have to do on this panel, this quarter panel. I know there are some slight waves. I can't remember where, though. I'll have to double check them. And right here, there was actually quite a few of them, and I've already set some body filler in the areas that needed it, and I still got to sand, but I'm not going to sand now because I'm going to wait till the roof dries, and then sand all this stuff down again and paint. And then all I need is that door, and the other door is almost complete. I should be able to finish that on Monday. And here is the roll bar, the main hoop that I got from Jegs, and I put it in there just to see how it fit, and it looks like they give you a little bit of extra material. It's not cut to length because I need to shorten it, like, I don't know, like a couple inches probably. So yeah, but tomorrow I got to do a couple of things, and then in the afternoon or evening I'll be able to start working on fitting this up. Alright, so today I am working on the roll cage, and I put the main hoop inside that I ordered from Jegs, and they give you a little bit of extra material on the ends. After I put it in, I found that out, but which is a good thing, I guess. So what I did was I cut off a couple of inches on either side and then put it in the car, tried it again. It was still a little bit too big, so I cut off a couple of more inches on either side, so 4 inches total on either side, and put it in. I got a piece of 3/16 inch plate down at the bottom, and so that's going to be the base that I'm going to weld it onto, and that'll be bolted onto the floor. You can see that it actually has quite a bit of, it's a perfect fit, actually. I really like it. It's better than the one I made. So, and then you got a little bit of room up at the top so you can put the headliner back in. And like I say, this one is going to be a removable one. So What I'm going to do now is I'm thinking I might kind of squeeze it in kind of this way a little bit, because it's touching on the inside, which is not a bad thing, but still it's not. I want to get a weld all the way around the perimeter of the bottom. I'm going to probably take that off and maybe even squeeze it. I mean, it only has to be like 1/8 of an inch. And so I'll go ahead and do that, tack it in, weld it in, and I think it just needs to be leaned back just ever so slightly, not too bad, but right there seems to be about good. So next thing I'll do is I'll tack that in, and then I have to cut the plates that go in here. I'll bolt those in right away, and then figure out where I'm going to attach, either here or on the side here. I'm not sure yet. Alright, so the hoop is in. The bases are welded in. Well, the mounting plates are actually welded in, not to the floor. And then these are all tacked in place. One of the main reasons I wanted to do this and paint it in the car was because I didn't want to scratch any of the paint in the back. And of course, it happened. Right there, right there. On the other side and right here. So, I mean, they're not too bad, so I'll just touch them up later on. But, you know, that was one of the main things I wanted to not happen. And another thing is this time around, I made sure that everything lined up perfect. The last time I did it with that thing, I just kind of threw it in there. You know, my welder wasn't working right. You know, I had inferior materials. So this time around, I did it right, made sure everything lined up. So that means I think this side here is in its original place as the one that was in there. This one actually moved up about 1/2 inch, 3/4 maybe. So that means I'm going to have to make the hole in that panel that's there a little bit bigger. I mean, it's actually been raining on and off for the past, well, I've been out here, so I'd do this for a little bit, then it'd rain, then I'd go wait for a little bit, then it'd stop, so I'd come back out and do this. So it's taken me about a couple hours just to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it apart, and then give it some good weld beads around the base and this, and then do the cross braces in the back. And I don't think that I'm going to have enough pipe to do the bar that goes across this way. We'll see. I'm not sure if I do or not. And then after that, I have those quick disconnects that I had bought online. And after everything's welded up, then I will cut it about right here, straight across, measure out how wide those mounting pieces are, weld them in. So that means the X piece is going to start like somewhere right here and then go across up to the top, and same thing on the other side. And so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it done today since the weather's not cooperating. But I got I pretty much got it in. It's I think it looks pretty good. Everything's even. I really like that hoop that I got from Jegs. It's measured out perfect. So yeah, it would have taken me. I would have probably used $100 of materials just to make that. So, for $60, that hoop is a good buy. And again, I will post a link to that hoop on the bottom of this video. Alright, so yesterday I spent pretty much all of the evening welding up all of these bars. I did have enough to do the crossbar, and I have enough to do the X piece on the back. I did it until it got dark, and then I noticed that I started screwing up certain things, so I says, okay, I'll stop. And so today I'm going to try and go ahead and finish welding up that back piece, and then do the cross piece, and then I'll have to cut it down at the bottom and then put that quick disconnect, weld it in on both sides, and then paint it. I got to drill the holes on the base and then cut another plate that goes on the underside of the car, kind of sandwich it in between the floor and the top plate, so that gives it a little bit more strength, and cut a couple of small pieces for the back as well. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I finished sanding and getting the door panel ready for paint, and actually painted it 3 coats of the base, and I was just about to do the clear coat, and I just realized that I don't have the pearl. So I guess it's going to have to wait until tomorrow. The thing that I'm doing is I'm transporting the paint back and forth from my house to here, and doing the work on some parts here and some parts at the house, and so I just forgot that pearl, and so like I say, I'll do this now, and I can clear coat it tomorrow. The door came out actually really nice. There used to be a nice big dent right there, so that's all fixed and it's straight. I did bring the roll cage, and I pretty much finished it. And like I say, I've been working on it in the evenings, and it's been getting dark earlier now that it's starting to become winter. But I realized that, I don't know if you can see it, but that center X is way off. So, and I've put some pretty heavy duty welds on there. So I think I'm going to have to cut it here and down at the bottom, grind off all the welds, and there as well. Basically cut off this whole center portion except for this one piece and redo it. I did bring another length of pipe, my last piece, and hopefully I won't screw it up this time. But that's all I need to finish it. Is just finish that part right there, drill the holes for the bolts on the bottom over there and on the other side, make the mounting plates for the underside, and then paint it. Again, I didn't bring the pearl, so I'm not gonna be able to finish the paint today. So I'm gonna, I guess, put the door off until tomorrow and start working on this guy. Well, here it is. It's finally finished it. I moved the part where I screwed it up towards the center, welded all the joints, installed the quick release mechanisms that are right there. I've primered it. I'm letting it dry, and it's almost the end of the day, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a couple of base coats. Alright, fast forward about 3 hours later, and I'm at the house now, and I ended up doing the 2 base coats on the roll cage, and I saw a couple of areas that I did not like, so I had to sand them down a little bit and fill them in, and of course it messed up the base coat, so I had to do another coat of the base on there. And then I decided to go ahead and put it in the car and clear coat it, because if I clear coated it out of the car, I knew I was going to scratch it. So this is the way it looks now. It fits perfect in there. Like I say, I did fix that area so it's centered now. The only part that did change was this moved in about a half an inch. I'm not sure why, but it did. And that side stayed okay. So I'll have to re-drill the holes on here, and of course I'll probably have to make the hole in the panel a little bit larger on this side as well. But other than that, it's in there now. All I got to do, I'm not going to bolt it in yet until I get the headliner and the plastics in. So that's it for that. Alright, so the door is done. Looks like all the body work I did on it came out pretty good. It's all nice and straight. I did 3 coats of clear with the pearl in it, and then one more coat with just regular clear. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and then hopefully I'll let it sit for a couple of days and see how the clear looks, if I have to color sand it and polish it. And then I need to start working on the other door. And then hopefully this weekend I can start working on the quarter panels. And except for the valve cover, I think that's all that needs to be painted.